if you're an aspiring PM, is an MBA a good path to getting in?
Sure. So I think it's a very frequent question that people, and I did a video on my channel also, that do you want to kind of do an MBA? See, I think it's all about experiences. What do you want? Like the first question that you asked me, right? What do you want to drive from this for any experience that you want to do, right? A lot of people think that it's some kind of a shortcut, but they never ask this question, why is it a shortcut to essentially move to the PM roles? Because just by sheer statistical numbers, ISB, which is one of the premium schools in the country, kind of has like 30% of their openings or 25-30% of their openings are PM roles, right? It used to be more consulting roles maybe like 10 years back, right? Where 80% of those roles were consulting, banking and things like that. So we need to ask this question slightly more deeply and ask that why does it work, right? The sheer reason it works is because of threefold, right? One, you have really good peers, right? Whenever you're doing a case, you're getting divergent views, right? Which are generally not visible on the internet. When you're reading somewhere, you don't really know how Aakash thinks, how Shravan thinks. And because there is a certain kind of filtration criteria to each of these schools, you know that the view is coming from someone with a certain amount of credibility or certain amount of proof of work that they've done in their lives. That's one. I think the second reason is that you consistently do a lot of cases, which are like real life problems, that you pick up the case of Amul and say, how did it scale as a cooperative, right? Now, there you have to think about tons and tons of variables, that what was their model, what was the branding structure, how did they position it to the customer, what was the value prop, was it clear enough, right? So you're able to see a problem from a system lens. I think that's the second thing. And the third thing is obviously the network, right? An MBA school enables you to reach out to someone who's already a PM, probably at Google, right? I think these three things, when people do understand that these are the three tenets that why an MBA generally works to help you to a PM role. But is it the title of an MBA or the degree that really helps you move there? Or is it the experience on these three tenets that really makes you capable to do that, right? And I keep telling people that if you're able to build these three tenets by yourself, right? You don't have to do an MBA, right? Do an MBA for the experience to grow as a human. Like Naval Ravikant always keeps saying that specialization is for insects, right? You need to grow like as a generalist. And when I say, how are you a good generalist, right? People say doing multiple things at a time is probably becoming a good generalist. But I say no. Probably there's one thing that you're really good at and you're probably in the top 1%. But even in the remaining things, you have to be in the top 10%. That's how then you're a really good generalist. Then you can say that in juggle, right? And that experience, if it shapes you as a human in your human values, I think you automatically become somebody who is looked up to, who is a leader, and that really leads to that outcome, right? So simple answer, not to revolve around the same thing. If you really want to improve in the human qualities which make you a really good leader, the ability to kind of solve problems analytically, build attention to detail, MBA is a great thing to do. Right? It's the kind of network that you would aspire to do that. But if you're doing it just for cracking a PM role, I don't think it justifies like spending 2 years in a school when you're not really clear why you want to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. And the cost component that I think people don't realize is, of course, you aren't earning and you aren't growing in your current career. But I think that one reason potentially that an MBA could be good, and I'm curious your thoughts on, is getting a good brand.
Yeah.
Because I find that like if you look at a top company, Google, Flipkart, they only want to hire from IIM, ISB, or IIT. So if you have the IIT, it feels like maybe it's overkill because they would already look at you. But if you don't have that top tier undergrad, then it feels like if you can break into a top tier MBA, a Stanford, a Harvard, it actually does make sense to get that brand just so that they'll talk to you.